Business is booming, but you know what really helped? Xero, the accounting platform for small businesses. I used to think unpaid bills were just part of it. Ugh. But batch payments? Wow. Automated accounts payable? Even better. All in one place. That's a big one. And I can keep track from my phone while I get the job done. No bills in sight. What a life. Do right by yourself and your business and search Xero for your free trial. Conditions apply. Business is booming, but you know what really helped? Xero, the accounting platform for small businesses. I used to think spreadsheets were just part of it. Ugh. But real-time cash flow? Wow. Invoices that chase themselves? Even better. Books that automate? That's a big one. And I can keep track from my phone while I get the job done. No spreadsheet in sight. What a life. Do right by yourself and your business and search Xero for your free trial. Conditions apply.
Blowing ad budget on metrics that look great till the CFO sees them? That's bull spend. And marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
I remember telling my boss, it'll be good for the brand, when leads were slow. Yeah, it wasn't.
Cut the bull spend. LinkedIn lets you target by company, job title, and more. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
And welcome to Tech Magic, the show where we journey into the heart of technology. I am your host, Lee Keebler, and with me is not Cathy Hackle. It is our producer, Lily Snyder. Lily, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lee. It's good to be back.
Yeah, so for those who are wondering, Cathy is actually on, and I am not making this up, she is on Safari. Not scrolling Safari. She's actually on Safari. So I expect amazing stories when she returns. If you've been following her Instagram, it's already full of like elephants and giraffes and all types of like craziness. It looks like an amazing time. I'm sure she's going to have some fantastic, probably very low-tech stories that are going to come with that.
I was just thinking that she was saying Safari is like a joke, but yeah, it's real. It's real.
Yeah, no, she's actually on Safari. Like she's out there. I've been seeing the photos. It's quite amazing. We are on episode 30. I cannot believe that. That seems like a made-up number. Normally, like I think of podcast seasons as like, here's 10 episodes and it's over the course of the year. No, we are trucking along and we've got more along the way. Today, we have a ton in the way of AI that's found in the wild. We've got a whole lot to talk about the Rabbit R1 device that's come out. Tons on some crazy XR devices. And of course, Lily, you will still have the Dispatch from the Fringe. And I have not looked at the Dispatch from the Fringe story, so you will be completely catching me off guard, and I'm looking forward to that.
I think you'll enjoy this one. I saw it and immediately thought of you.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm down. So Lily, how has your week been? I know you've been hard and tirelessly at work last week, getting all of our stories together and preparing for this show. But what's been going on with you? I haven't seen you like on camera. We talk all the time, but like I haven't seen you on camera in probably months. How are you?
I am good. I live in Michigan and it has finally been in the 70s the last few days. So I've been touching grass, as the youth say, I think, and been enjoying the outside.
Not here. It has been nothing but rain. I'm jealous. Yeah, we're not supposed to even start getting a hint of like nice weather until later this week. It has been so rainy, which means I get a lot done indoors. No, that's actually not true. And in fact, so for those who don't know, I'm like really into like the technology that goes into camper vans. And we went up to Seattle this last week to go to a buddy of mine opened a technology-driven co-working space. It is the coolest thing. It really is. It's completely free. They're a nonprofit and they're funded by like the tech companies and Seattle as a city. And so they've made this really inclusive co-working space for people who want to work in immersive technologies, and anyone can use it as long as you can abide by their rules. And their rules are really cool, like because they want it to be very inclusive. So there's things like no drinking and no smoking and blah, 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 blah. So like it's a well thought out place where anyone can show up and feel comfortable to work if they work in this technology. And so I went and checked that out. They had a guest speaker who produced music for video games, and it was a great time for those who are interested. It's a co-working space called Sim. It just opened in Seattle. Yeah, it was kind of neat. It was cool to go and see and check it out. But yeah, good stuff going on up there. I mean, people in the know that a lot of technology comes out of Seattle because it's got like Microsoft and Amazon and things like that. But like from the startup culture and like people creating their own things, there's so much going on in Seattle that I am just in awe of people's like work ethic to create new stuff up there. It's really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's great to see that energy like in person after these past couple of years being virtual.
Yeah. That's been the thing, is seeing people come in and be able to work together and be on the other side of, COVID lockdowns, and then just like in general, people staying they got used to being by themselves. I think that there's a lot of that people have to overcome. So it's really been nice to be able to go back out and see people that I knew in Seattle years ago. And like, this is the first time I'm seeing them, and now it's in their new co-working space. So that was a lot of fun. But I want to get down to business. The Rabbit R1. For those who don't know, this is a small AI device that is, and I cannot stress this enough when I say bright orange, like I'm talking traffic cone orange pocket device that allows people access to basically ChatGPT, if we're being honest. It is a really interesting design that was crafted by a company I'm familiar with, but I don't think a lot of people in the tech space are familiar with, called Teenage Engineering. Now, it is not a Teenage Engineering product. It was designed by Teenage Engineering. It just so happens that one of the higher ups at Teenage Engineering is also one of the higher ups on this project as well. But this is not a Teenage Engineering project. It was their designing, but it is its own thing. So the Rabbit R1 came out. It's $199. It's finally starting to arrive at places. It kind of likens back to the same conversation as the Humane AI pen, which has had a very rough start. And I'd love to say that the story is different for the R1 Rabbit. It is not. R1 had a rough week. Now, not as bad as the Humane AI pen, and that's because it's $200 and it doesn't have like a monthly fee, where Humane AI pen was like $700, something crazy like that. I'd have to look it up, and then it had like a monthly subscription on it. A few things with it, people admit it is very clever. It actually has a little bit of a faster response time. It's not incredibly buggy, which is nice. There is one major bug.
Oh,
This bug's kind of silly, and it will get fixed, but I'm kind of curious how they're going to fix it. So it shipped with a keyboard that does not have a percent symbol in the software. So in order for you to register and update your R1 Rabbit, you have to connect to the internet, which is fine for many people, except for if your Wi-Fi password has a percent symbol in it. In which case, you do not have that symbol. Therefore, you need to probably change your Wi-Fi password to not have the percent symbol so you can update your R1 Rabbit. Those type of things are totally forgivable. I just find them very funny because I've been in those situations before. And it is one of those things where you're just like, oh gosh, I didn't even think of, there's some UI, UX designer and developer who just went, oh man, I'm in it for this. Okay.
Right.
But the real issue that people are having with this is, and this goes to Teenage Engineering actually. Teenage Engineering is a quirky company. I don't know if you've ever seen anything made by them, but they typically lean into weird but clean aesthetic. They make a lot of music gear, a lot of synthesizers. In fact, I have one of their most popular ones, and it is a tiny little thing. So this little thing is actually a synthesizer. It is not a pocket calculator.
I was just going to say.
It's a sampler, and you can you can make music on it, and it's got a little lanyard, and you carry it around. It runs on AAA batteries, and you can make your little music and stuff. It's got built-in microphone. It's cute. And that's it. Everything they do is cute.
I mean, the Rabbit R1 is cute.
The Rabbit R1 is cute. The Rabbit R1 has a touch screen, but this is where it gets weird, right? Like the Rabbit R1 has a touch screen but you can't use it for scrolling the UI. They make you use this like wheel that they designed into it. And so it's got all of these like little UI UX design questions that people are scratching their heads at and going, all right, I think this is actually easier to use ChatGPT on the phone. This is the big problem. as neat as it is, the whole system's already on your phone. Yeah, I don't really know how they're going to overcome this because, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I thought that would just lead us into how they discovered that Rabbit, like the software runs on Android, and someone was able to hack it to run on their phone.
Yeah, this was the big, after all these reviews came out, we're talking within hours, not days, within hours of it arriving. People have figured out like, oh, I can hack this thing. It's basically running on Android. They've been able to remove the APK file from it and just load it onto a phone, and you can run the Rabbit system and the Rabbit OS on the phone. Yeah, it's a weird time for these gadgets because you want new technology to bring more than more phone time to your life. You already got a lot of phone time. You know what I mean? So like seeing the Humane AI pen was like, oh, that's interesting. And seeing the Rabbit R1, especially at $200, I was like, oh, that thing's cute. I'd carry that in my pocket if it does something that my phone doesn't already do. And like, this is where it starts kind of falling apart. So I don't know. It looks cool, but I think we're about to see a lot of big announcements from Apple and from Google and probably from Microsoft that are just going to obliterate all of these tiny techs that we've got kind of like popping up. Because at the end of the day, what the tiny techs are doing is they're basically still riding the shoulders of these giants, right? Like, it's not like R1 built in AI. The R1 Rabbit is not its own AI. It is just connecting to a service that already exists that you can get on your phone. I think Humane AI Pen does pretty much the exact same thing. It's just querying ChatGPT or something similar. And I've had a lot of complaints on the show that ChatGPT is actually getting worse over time. And I've started playing with like Google Gemini and things like that. And those are becoming incredibly impressive. Everything still has ways to go, but Gemini is interesting. Like, it had a little bit of a rough go. Like, when they first launched, it was given really weird replies and weird artwork and stuff like that. But
yeah,
it seems to have stabled. And I can get it to do things easier than I can get ChatGPT to do now, especially how I use it as a writer of like, I wrote this chapter, read it back to me. Because when I have that, and it's in an actual like natural voice, it's not like in that Siri computer voice, you kind of hear in your writing like what does and doesn't make sense. And I used to do that with ChatGPT. Like, that was the only reason I would use ChatGPT when I was doing writing, because I didn't want it to like prompt or write or change anything. Like,
yeah,
please, I don't want to do that. But like, I would have it as like, hey, here's a chapter. I want to hear this read back to me and make sure that it sounds right. And it's almost like creating like an instant audio book of your work. That was interesting.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I saw Joanna Stern at the Wall Street Journal. She reviewed the Humane AI Pen, the Rabbit One, and the Ray-Ban glasses with Meta AIs on it. And the Meta Ray-Bans were the only one that she thought was worth its while as an AR-enabled device right now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because that device came out without the assumption by the mass populace that AI was going to become what it's become. And so, yeah, it does not surprise me in the least that that particular piece of technology is going to probably continue to make sense and only continue to get better because it's not relying on AI to be the gimmick. It's relying on AI to be the tool set to do what it had already set out to do. I think it's a healthier way to approach new technology and new designs is like, I'm not trying to encapsulate AI so I can sell AI to you. I want it to do a thing. And if AI can be a part of that solution, now you've got a budding technology where this makes sense. If you're just taking the ChatGPT app, wrapping it in some colorful plastic and putting it in a less powerful device and trying to sell it for $200, I don't get that. Like, I just don't get it. I thought it looked cool. I was expecting a little bit more. I would still play with one, but I just don't think that even at $199, like, that's a good price. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'll say this. I was listening to Marquez Brownlee's podcast. It's weird to talk about another person's podcast on your podcast, but someone in his crew did say something very enlightening that I have to echo because it was a brilliant thought. They were having the exact same conversation. And they said, it's a really interesting device if you have like a way to establish it for kids that don't have cell phones. because
Oh, that's
you
interesting.
have a very
Yeah.
easy to use UI. Yeah. You have a very easy to use UI interface. The scroll wheel is like perfect for kids. It's bright, it's colorful, it's plastic. It's not going to break. You're not worried about damaging the screen. It's got a camera that like it rotates to turn on. So you got like privacy stuff checked off on that as well.
Oh, there's a nice pivot. Yeah, Lee.
Yeah, like it's a good pivot, right? Like you imagine being a kid with this R1 Rabbit, cute name. It's got a cute logo on it, and you can go around. You can like say, "What is this? What is this? What is this?" And now you're not like bothering like some adult who's kind of
makes up
but
an
why?
answer
But
for
why?
you.
But why? It's like I don't know. Right? Ask the rabbit. I thought I was like, that's how this should probably be marketed. This would make so much more sense. But anyways, that is the R1 Rabbit in a nutshell. I had an interesting bout with AI this week, and it goes into our next story.
Oh, do tell.
I'm reading up on the consumer report for the FTC about fighting back against harmful voice cloning. Coming from a broadcast background, and specifically a music background, the voice cloning technologies have always interested me. And I think you've even brought up the question a couple of times of like, well, our voices are out there. So what happens in the cloning capabilities of that? And right now, the honest answer is yes, they are. So someone could, in theory, take a copy of our podcast and utilize it to separate. There's definitely more than enough content of Cathy and Mai's voice and yours with Dispatch from the Fringe and create an AI that sounds like us. It can happen. That's a risk that I have to be willing to take. I think anyone who puts out or broadcasts their voice, there's always been a risk with that, right? Like that's just always been part of it. Not to this level. This is different, but it is what it is.
Do we need to like put our voices on the blockchain, Lee? Is that how we're going to like authenticate?
No, that's never going to happen. That's not how, no, please, no, I won't. Like, here's the thing. Like, I just don't think that there's anything we can do about it right now. But this article you sent had some very interesting concepts to it. Do you want to go through this or
let's do it.
What were your thoughts on it? Because you sent me this article.
I did. So the article is about a voice cloning challenge that the FTC put out. And there were 3 winners of the challenge and 1 runner-up. That was all about how to combat voice cloning. And I'll just give it the quick rundown. There was one called AI Detect for consumer and enterprise apps that uses AI algorithms to differentiate between genuine and synthetic voice patterns, which I thought sounds pretty cool. And they also proposed a framework for increased public and private sector responsibility. Then there was deepfake using adversarial audio perturbations to proactively prevent malicious voice cloning. That basically is a protected...
I didn't want to read that one. As I was reading that,
I know.
I was like, I cannot say that.
I'm going to stumble over this word. Perturbations. It's a protective mechanism to add carefully crafted, there's that word, perturbations to voice samples to hinder...
Yeah, they liked that word a lot in this article.
They did. I feel like they should have chosen a different word that we know what it means. That basically hinders cyber criminals' cloning process. And the 3rd winner was Origin Story, authenticating the human origin of voice at the time of recording, which I thought sounded pretty cool. It proposes using an off-the-shelf sensors already integrated into our devices to simultaneously measure speech acoustics and co-occurring biosignals in our throat and mouth as the person is speaking, thus being able to authenticate the human origin of voice at the point of creation.
All of these, except for the perturbations, all the rest of them sound...
What is this word?
I had to look it up, and it means, this is what it means, a disturbance of motion, course, or arrangement, or a state of equilibrium. I honestly think they're throwing this word in there just to sound fancy.
I think so.
It can hear the voice. That's some $5 words thrown around up there. Some expensive words.
Yeah.
But on the face of it, all of these sound really good. I think the issue or the question mark, right, that all of these bring up is it goes back to the Turing test. Like, great. Okay, we've put a blockade up. How long until someone is able to defeat it, right? Because that will happen. And when you're looking at protecting something of value, I always go and look at like the history of, and this sounds absolutely insane because it's such an analog approach, but the history of currency, right? Like, especially like the US currencies, we've seen it go from basically there's a specific type of paper and it's a very high quality print and no one can possibly pull this off. And then all of a sudden people could pull it off. So then they had to put that little like strip in the paper and then no one could pull that off. And then 5 years later, they're putting those like embedded watermarks and they keep having to make currency more complicated to duplicate because as it happens, there's a motivation for people to do that. And as these things have motivation, people will be motivated to just figure out how to get past AI detect deepfake. Origin stories sound probably the most interesting because it's trying to attack the problem with what we have today. And this is a good move for when you're talking about trying to like control voice detected AI is what do we have today to stop it today? We'll worry about tomorrow as soon as we're done with fixing the problem we currently have. So I honestly thought as I went through this, Origin Stories solution sounded probably the best. They all sound good. And they all are kind of approaching it in the same way of, can we listen to the voice and hear the imperfections in it to determine that it is a human voice? Now, here's the part that is crazy. I spent more time than I care to admit playing with a new music AI called Udio, U-D-I-O. So I found out about this through will.i.am. He's been talking about it a lot. And so his crew, who I've got connections there, were reaching out to me and saying, this is a thing, you should go play with this. I was like, I don't know. And then we had this whole situation with Drake creating a diss track to, I guess, Kendrick Lamar and cloning Snoop Dogg's voice and Tupac's voice. And this is all going crazy. So I finally was like, okay, I'm going to go poke around with this. Holy cow, is it good? It's scary good. If you know what you are trying to create, the tools are there to create complete songs. Now, the songs it will auto write are total garbage. They're not good, right? Like if you just say, hey, write me a song about it's finally sunny in Michigan, it's going to be the stupidest song you've ever heard. It will technically rhyme, it will be on beat, and it will sound like a real human singer who can sing or rap. Like you can ask it to write a rap song and it will do it, but it'll be cornball and not that great. If you can write a song, it's pretty amazing. So like my background as a songwriter, I was like, oh, okay, I can actually insert original lyrics into this. I'm not going to put any of the stuff that I've currently gotten like publishing in it because I still don't know what their terms of service really are going to do with things. And I'm not going to lie, there's some things about it that are just kind of weird and shady. Like you can go to it, but like in only maybe 5% of our listeners will even know what this means, but like their SSL certificates are not up to date. So like your web browser will warn you that it's not a trusted site and stuff like that. And it's just like, y'all, come on, you've got very expensive technology right in here. Just update your certificates so this doesn't happen. It's not a good look. But I sat there and I was like, okay, I'm just going to put some lyrics in here or whatever. And what it came out with was amazing. I mean, what you can't do, and I think you could do this before the whole Drake situation, is you cannot be specific on write a song that sounds like Aretha Franklin, right? If you put a proper name in there, it'll tell you, we're not going to do that. But see, there's this ... But we're going to give you a description of what that might sound like to just do a blanket description. And it will adjust it. And it will not come out sounding like Aretha Franklin, but it will come out sounding like a really great, fantastic oldies soul singer. And it will belt. It's incredible. I'm a little concerned with it, like people going onto this thinking they can write songs and they're just going to like pump out songs and just flood Spotify or whatever. I think we got some problems with that coming around the corner. Mm-hmm. But if used properly, this might be one of the most important songwriting tools of all time.
Oh, wow. I mean, it sounds like whatever you sent to Cathy, like really took her off guard.
Oh, yeah, that. Okay, yeah. So that was one of the first things I did. I was just joking around with it. And I wrote, and I will not play it on the air. I will not, like, no, this will never see the end of the, like, because Cathy would kill me. She would come back from safari with one of them elephant guns and just, like, take me out. It would be over.
Off the hot air balloon he goes.
But I created the most cheeseball sounding theme song for the podcast. And I mean, like, it was as corny and cheesy, but it towed the line of sounding like real pop music. And Udio did such a good job with the vocals and with the arrangement that when I sent it to her, she thought it was real. She was like, wait, who sent this to you? There's no way Adweek would have approved this to be the theme song. I've not heard. She immediately called me. I just dropped it in the Slack channel as a prank. I got the angriest phone call.
Oh, no.
Because it was so convincing. It was a horrible song, but it was just good enough to be like, oh, is this real?
I mean, if it can make Cathy think, then she knows.
Yeah. She thought it was, and I'm sure it'll be a topic of discussion when she returns. But yeah, I hope she lets me play it because it was so bad and so good at the same time, but I will not play it right now. But it got me thinking. And so I started using this tool because this is just a different part of my career. It has nothing to do with technology or anything like that, but I've been a songwriter. I've had songs published by artists. And it's just something that I've been doing for decades now. And I thought to myself, I was like, this is actually a really good opportunity for me to, as a person who has their own studio, who works basically out of their home. How songwriting works is I write a song, you do a rough cut, and then you just send it to artists and hope that they can hear their own voice out of it and what they would do with it, right? But that limits the type of song that I can pitch out of my home because I am not Aretha Franklin. I cannot perform or sing soul music, especially under like a female voice. Like I just can't. But I've had these ideas of songs in different genres that I can songwrite for, but I cannot pitch or produce by myself, right? These are like, oh, I'd really like to see if I can get this song to this artist. And I sound nothing like this artist. So like, I've got to go out now and try to like shop through friends who might kind of be able to pull it off. It's a mess and it never works. You get into the thing of like, I can pitch what I can pitch and I can't go any further. With this tool, I can now write songs, get a voice that sounds really close to what I'm trying to pitch for, have that voice sing it under a specific arrangement that normally I wouldn't be able to do, strings, horns, whatever, and send that out and get people's attention on song. This is not the song that will be released. It's the song that's getting pitched so I can get to an artist who hears it the way it's meant to be heard and can now hear themselves doing that song. That game changer for the music industry. That is not for whatever reason what the music industry is doing with it. Blows my mind. Like, yeah, it is just one of those things where it's like, I think one day, really soon, it'll finally click like why this is important for music business, for people who actually like work and make money and write songs as a career. Publishing companies should actually not be afraid of this. They should be excited by it because it will allow the publishing company has basically an army of songwriters who, as a 9-to-5 job, write songs, record them into like laptops and then email demos off to people to see if they're interested in doing this. This is such a faster turnaround. If I have a publishing company to be able to pitch out music like this and get people to hear it, like to get really specific into like specific genres that normally I wouldn't be able to pitch out, because honestly, some of these publishing companies coming out of Nashville are just like guys or women who work at these publishing companies. They're in the basement. They've got little songwriting nooks and an acoustic guitar, and they're just like singing into a laptop. It's hard to pitch songs that way, but that's how it's been done forever. And so I just look at this and I look at this type of technology and go, I get why people are upset. I get why people are afraid, but there is a lot of value if you use this properly to be a successful tool. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Maybe that's a ebook or something that we should write up, Lee.
It could be very, very interesting. Yes. Anyways, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about AI and gaming in the wild. You're listening to Tech Magic, and we'll be back
This message is brought to you by Warner Brothers Discovery Advertising. And this is more than an ad. This is an invitation to be part of the stories the world can't stop watching, to connect with moments that dominate the conversation, to participate in culture, not just advertise around it. With the most sought-after IP, passionate audiences, and an advanced AI-powered foundation, WBD advertising transforms attention into influence and impressions into outcomes. This is innovation. This is impact. This is opportunity. This is Warner Brothers Discovery Advertising. Visit advertising.wbd.com to learn more.
Are your ad campaigns lighting up the dashboard, but not the pipeline? That's bullspend, and marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
My boss asked for results, so I opened my dashboard for the only positive-sounding metric I had: impressions.
Cut the bullspend. See revenue, not just reach. LinkedIn delivers the highest return on ad spend of major ad networks. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Business is booming, but you know what really helped? Zero, the accounting platform for small businesses. I used to think unpaid bills were just part of it. Ugh. But batch payments? Wow. Automated accounts payable? Even better. All in one place. That's a big one. And I can keep track from my phone while I get the job done. No bills in sight. What a life. Do right by yourself and your business and search XERO for your free trial. Conditions apply.
Right after this. All right, we are back. Welcome back to Tech Magic. My name is Lee Keebler. I am joined with Lily Snyder because Cathy is on safari. So she is somewhere, I guess, petting a giraffe. I have no idea.
And a hot air balloon.
Yes, she's in a hot air balloon somewhere. So one of the things that we have talked about, I think ad nauseum at this point, but it's worth talking about, is the Apple Vision Pro.
It's back.
Yes, it is back in every episode because something changes every time. For the first time, I'm seeing a more popular game, Crossy Roads, for those who are big fans of the mobile game, is getting a port to the Apple Vision Pro, and it has very interesting hand controls. I don't think this is enough to be that killer app to get some people to like cross the finish line, but it is nice to see a well-respected, well-known game finally get like a really interesting port. I watched a video of this, and it is in 3D, but it is not like a VR or what I would even call a spatial game. Did you see the video for this?
Yeah, it's 3D kind of objects.
It's floating in like a frame.
Yeah. It's on this
yeah,
frame.
it's like a window into the game. Like you pinch with your right hand, and you give a thumbs up, and you tilt your thumb to control your player. And it has kind of this very interesting and I think logical approach to how do you control a platforming Mario style game. Last time I played Crossy Roads, it was more like Frogger. For whatever reason, this update, whatever they're doing now, is more like Mario. So it is like this 2D scrolling platformer game that made a lot of sense when you saw the controls. So it does seem like there's going to be some more games coming to the Apple Vision Pro. I know hand tracking from a developer standpoint was one of those things that I really struggled with, and a lot of my developers have really struggled with. So hopefully we're seeing that get better, and there's more updates in the future to bring more stuff like this into the AVP. You got to do a demo of it, but have you played any of these games? I have not played this game.
No, I've not played the games. I just had the standard demo in the Apple Store, which one thing that struck me was I had my hands out. I wanted to like reach out. You know, you're in an immersive environment. And the Apple Genius lady told me that I didn't have to move my hands so much, that I should just have them in my lap. And I just needed to like pinch. And it just felt kind of constricting. So I just wonder if you're not supposed to be moving all around during the demo, then how's it working games?
And I think that's a big part of why we haven't seen a ton of these games. While the entire system relies on eye tracking and hand tracking, but it's not really hand tracking it's relying on. It's really relying on eye tracking in little motions of the hand that it recognizes as like select options. If you go into like the development of it, or if you play a game like, and I love the people at Synth Riders. This is not a dig at Synth Riders. Synth Riders is a fantastic game. What Kludge and that team has done has been amazing. And they are one of the first like big active games on the Apple Vision Pro. There's a lag to the hand tracking that is not Synth Rider's fault. It is an issue with the headset itself. And hopefully we see that get fixed in the next couple of iterations and some updates, because I think it's the thing that's keeping a lot of people from coming into the Apple Vision Pro. I remember reading articles that when the Apple Vision Pro was announced, they also announced that games like Rec Room were going to launch on this headset. That just didn't happen. I think VR Chat was expected to do the same as well. VR Chat has a really great gesture recognition UI, so you don't have to use controllers, where you're still pinching with one hand, whatever finger is like a function, right? So if it's your pointer finger and thumb, it's a jump, and then menu is like your middle finger and thumb. So you're doing these type of gestures to get your UI to use, but then you're pointing upward with your finger and thumb and pinching on your left hand like a joystick and moving it around. And that actually is what makes you move in like the X, Y, and Z space. Really interesting solutions. I honestly think they did that in hopes to launch on that Apple Vision Pro. That's all speculation. There's no legitimacy behind that, but it just made a lot of sense. It felt like it was being developed for this, and then I don't know, it's just not there yet or what the deal is, but I'm really hoping we see some of these things come to the Apple Vision Pro soon, because I think that will be the tipping point where people start seeing a little bit more mass adoption.
I think so.
That's enough AVP.
Yeah. Because on X, I still see people promote controllers for gaming and the positives of controllers in VR. And I think there's a lot of gamers out there that...
Well, it's a hardware thing where we've been adopted into it, right? And you kind of want to meet players where they're at. You know, when the iPhone came out, it was a pretty disruptive idea to not have a tangible keyboard, right? So like that was the big thing, is everyone had loved their BlackBerry because they liked the tactile keys. Apple didn't get rid of the keyboard. They got rid of the tactile keys. See, that's the difference, is they kept the QWERTY keyboard. They didn't go and try to like completely remove what people knew, right? Could you imagine if the Apple had launched with a completely different input device other than a QWERTY keyboard or whatever like keyboard you're used to in whatever country you're in? But imagine if you had gotten it, and let's say they still used letters and keys on the screen, but they were in actual alphabetical order, right? Like that would have no one would have used it. Like there's too much history of like how people like interact with their technology in that sense. Yes, they got rid of the tactile keys. Yes, that was disruptive. That was the headline. That was the thing. They went for an all touch screen with a single button. It was super easy to use, but the keyboard was still the keyboard, right? Like it was still there. This completely different. There's no history for humanity to control this technology with their eyes and with like pinching gestures. I think it's a great UI. I think they did a fantastic job. It's just going to take time to like solidify people into it. And I do think that it was probably a miscalculation to not at least let third-party controllers start to come out that are motion-based, but we'll see. Time kind of tells all things in this.
Yep, I'm sure Apple will come out with their $1,000 controller add-ons.
Oh yeah, I hope not. I hope not. There was part of me that kind of expected the controller solution to be an iPhone. Like I didn't want that to be the case, but there was this like thought in the back of my head of, okay, I've got my phone, I'm holding it here. Maybe I turn it sideways and it gives me I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they do. And because that would be a very Apple thing to just like make sure you have to have an iPhone, right?
That's right.
Which they've kind of forced into Apple Vision Pro users anyways. Now, this one is interesting. Meow Wolf, co-founder, for those who don't know, the live experiential design, they're artsy, trippy, in-person, you experience their art display type stuff. The co-founder of Meow Wolf is now in Austin, Texas, building the spa of the future. I've looked up some of the pictures of this thing, and it is basically Alice in Wonderland's Mr. Toad's Wild Ride put into a hot tub. And I would definitely go. It looks fun. It actually looks relaxing. I was expecting like psychedelic freak out, and it's not that, but it is very trippy. It is very strange. $88 per ticket. It does not specify how long the experience is in the article.
True. You get 15 minutes. Go.
I was surprised. I didn't think 88 was bad. So we'll see how this rolls out. It is interesting because Meow Wolf obviously got hit pretty hard during COVID, right? Like you couldn't have people go, and they were big. Like 2019, Meow Wolf was on the scene, everyone talking about them. Their installations were wanting to be brought to every major city you could imagine. And then like 2019 hits, COVID hits, that kind of all just goes away. So it's very interesting that the co-founder is like doubling down not only on, nope, it's still going to be an in-person experience, but now you got to get in this water with people.
Yes.
I still think there's going to be a little hesitation for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that comes together. And then for the last article of the day, before we go to your dispatch from the fringe, OpenAI is bringing custom technology to this year's Met Gala exhibition. Do you want to give a little bit of background on this? Because I have some things to say, but I'm going to let you go on with this a little bit.
Okay, yeah. Well, this article is in honor of Cathy because she loves fashion. So the Metropolitan Museum of Art worked with OpenAI to bring generative AI to its annual Costume Institution exhibition. It features a custom chatbot installation that's associated with its final garment, which is a dramatic satin mermaid-esque wedding gown from the 1930s, once worn by New York socialite Natalie Potter. The chatbot is custom built by OpenAI and its GPT-4 tech, and it will take on the persona of Potter and answer the visitors' questions about her life on the dress. And so it's an interactive fashion piece that the Metropolitan Museum of Art hopes to test out how ChatGPT and AI in an installation works to bring people to the museum. A sigh? Really?
I have feelings about this.
I thought that would be more cool.
Yeah.
I think Cathy would have liked it.
No, I think Cathy and like people who are into this would love it. I'm not the fashion guy. Like, that's just not me.
But it's history too. Like 1930s. What's life like?
Here's my problem. I find it odd that constantly artists are worried about the infringement of AI into the art space. And I still personally have a real issue with the fact that we're utilizing AI to do things that humans like to do, not things that humans don't like to do. That still really irritates me and makes me angry.
Yeah.
So to see an art gallery fully embrace ChatGPT and bring it into it feels weird. Okay, it does.
You think?
I do. I really do. I really genuinely do, because I feel like a lot of the artists who are in an art museum would not be excited about the prospects of AI art. Mainly because, and I am in this tribe, I do not think AI makes art. I think AI makes content. Humans make art. So it's an art museum. Therefore, like it's not a content museum. This is my soapbox. I just don't think AI makes art. That being said, it's also being brought in to personify a person who cannot approve for any of this, right? So like that feels weird in and of itself. So now we've got another layer of like weird use case of AI.
Okay.
And then to take it a step further, I think it's wildly risky to leverage AI to take on the persona of a person and expect something to not go horribly wrong.
That's true. Just like last week's dispatch from the fringe.
Yes. Yes. For those who missed it, go back and listen to it, because it's one of the funniest dispatches from the fringe that we've had, in my opinion. There was a Catholic church that utilized AI to make an AI priest, and it went off the rails. Like
people did not like it.
straight up blasphemous. It was, and they had to dial that back quick.
Yes.
It's not the first time we've heard this. People keep wanting to take AI to bring personas into the community so people can talk to them. And I think it's fine when you have a team building it to do like customer service representatives on a chat to fill in the blank or whatever. And even that, there's history of that going wrong. But to do it as an installation like this, I hope it goes well. I understand why they're doing it. It does sound interesting. But I also feel like there's an immense amount of ways this can go wrong real fast.
All right. So we might need a follow-up story. Keep an eye on it.
If it all goes well, there won't be a follow-up story.
That's true.
Because people only seem to talk about this stuff when it just goes completely bonkers.
That's true. That's true.
So we will see. If it goes off the rails, it will become a Dispatch from the Fringe episode for you. And so I think that's when we'll know how it's gone.
Do you think it's okay to bring the dress to life as a graphic? Or is that something that you think a person would take the dress and kind of re-render it and bring it to life? Without the person aspect.
Yeah. Here's what I don't know about fashion. I don't know what protected intellectual property legally looks like when it comes to fashion, right? I can say with the utmost certainty that if you were to go back to that era and utilize AI to redo a popular song from that era, you would absolutely need permission from the songwriter's estate because it would still likely be protected, right? So the copyright goes 75 years after the death of the last remaining co-write. This is the same thing for books. Most intellectual property goes, I don't know if fashion follows the same trend. So I guess if it did, and I'm not saying it does, it would likely have to get permission from the designer's estate of those clothes. But I don't know. Maybe not. It might not work that way. I just don't know. That's the curious question that I would have to follow up with someone in the industry that I can't answer. I don't know. Cathy probably knows the answer to that. I don't know. She's on Safari.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about some of the companies that make digital native clothing and they're animated in some kind of way. But with Gen AI, if you bought a piece of digital first clothing, could you reanimate it to fit you in your own way?
I think you could. We're approaching this situation where you can do anything you want to do with the technology given. It's just a question of what you have as legal options for something that is creatively owned by someone else, right? We're still talking about that intellectual property. Could the technology do that? Sure. But legally, can it? I don't know. It's a great question and one where that I will probably spend the rest of the week looking up and trying to come to a solution at the
next
end of
week's
the
episode.
day.
I'll have a section for you.
Absolutely.
Intellectual property with Lee Keebler.
Yes, that I can talk about. I can talk about that all day. We're going to take one last final break. And when we get back, we're going to have your Dispatch from the Fringe. You are listening to Tech Magic, and we'll be back after this. All right, we are back. This is Tech Magic. My name is Lee Keebler. I am joined with Lily Snyder, our fantastic producer. Cathy is not even in the United States right now. She is on Safari. She's on her amazing vacation trip around the world, flying in hot air balloons and living her best impression of Indiana Jones. So it will be interesting to hear all of the stories when she gets back, but she is not here this week. But we have Lily actually in the studio. Lily, you have the best parts of the show, especially with the Dispatch from the Fringe. It's always weird. It's always a little wacky. And I'm just going to let you take it away. Here's Lily with Dispatch from the Fringe.
All right. Well, this is an article by Scarred Ghost. That's his Twitter name too. And he wrote an article of crazy XR devices that will blow your mind away. When I first started reading this, I thought it was satire, he was making these devices up. But nope, they're real. So the first one is PlayStation has a feet controller, at least a patent for it. So they have a patent, and the idea is that you would control yourself in VR with giant trackballs that used to be in old-fashioned mice, but with your feet. I'm just watching your facial expressions, Lee.
Yeah, no, I'm because I'm looking at the patent right now, and there's a part of me that's because it really does look like two big bowling balls on like rolling sensors, and you have to just like rub your feet on them. Here's the thing. I actually think this design is brilliant, but maybe not for what Sony's doing, right? This is a patent for a VR controller. This would not make it feel like you are walking. This is just going to make your legs tired because you can't stand and use this. You have to be seated and use this. So as I look at it and I'm like, wow, this is a very strange controller for VR playing. In the back of my head, when I first saw it, I said, this is an amazing controller for accessibility, right? If you have to have some type of controller and you don't have use of your hands, this is at least a way for you to control through a game in general if you still have like access to your feet. I'm a big fan of accessibility design in video game controls because people who are differently abled should still be able to enjoy the same games that everyone enjoys. So when I saw this design, that was what I thought it was. And I was like, oh, this is really kind of clever as an accessibility controller. This is a weird controller when it comes to VR. Not the right use, Sony. Pivot, pivot, pivot. This is not going to work as a
The balls
VR
are
controller.
pivoting, Lee. They are pivoting.
Yes, they are. Nonstop.
Oh. Well, unless like, what if you're in like massage VR and the balls are actually like giving you a foot rub or something?
That might be a little niche, and I'm not going to say I wouldn't try it. It could be interesting. It could be interesting. Maybe one day. We'll see.
We'll see. I still only have like the original PlayStation VR. So when these come out, maybe that's when I'll upgrade. All right. The next device, which I definitely thought was made up, is called Mute Talk. It is a device you put over your mouth. It looks like MetaQuest that you would like put over your mouth. And it's a way to have a microphone that only the people you're talking to on your computer can hear you and not people sitting next to you. So if you're in a coffee shop taking a meeting, you just put the headset basically over your mouth and talk away without everyone else in the cafe hearing you.
There's so many problems with this. First and foremost, this design will not work with a MetaQuest headset. It can't, because MetaQuest has a built-in microphone and you don't really have an option to override that microphone with your own microphone. So like you have to be tethered in a prosumer VR headset, to which case you're not going to a coffee shop or someplace mobile where you can't speak. So there's already a little bit of a weird design flaw in it. But I get the desire. I get it. There are times where, especially if we're going to get VR to a place where we're working in it, and say I'm on an airplane or I'm at a bus station, whatever, right? Like I'm someplace where I have to be, where I would normally be working, and I'm doing that in a VR headset, and I need to have a conversation with someone. There's a value here. It kind of looks like a horse's feed bag.
That, you know
it just
what?
kind of has this.
That's accurate.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's going to get a little bit more questions. Yeah, I kind of wouldn't have thought it was real. I get what they're trying to solve. I think there is a real problem here. I think it's a very niche problem, but maybe one day, maybe, I don't know. I don't think that's a future or fad, to be totally honest. I don't know.
Well, check out the company Shiftal and y'all can see for yourselves and let us know if you would use this device. The next device is from a company called Dentsu. It's a hugging mannequin. They developed a solution called Hugtics instead of haptics. It's basically a haptic vest, which can give you the feeling of being hugged. So the vest has artificial muscles in it that create the hugging sensation.
If that doesn't depress you a little bit, yeah, way to bring the room down. Oh, gosh, if you need a hug, just ask someone. Someone will give you a hug.
Go to Portland. Lee will meet you.
Just go to
give you a hug.
Yeah, you'll find me. I'll give you a hug. It's fine. I don't even want to ask how something like that gets created.
Yeah. Unless you can like tie it into, again, like a video game where it can do other things than just hug you. The other kind of
this just seems like something that will just go horribly wrong very quickly.
Yeah.
Moving on.
All right. Then the final one is called Laying Down VR. So a Japanese research team is experimenting with the feeling of standing in VR while you're lying down on a bed. So if you get tired of sitting or standing in VR, you can just take a rest.
No, there's a lot to be said for a piece of technology like this. And I know that sounds really kind of like crazy, because what VR does as a tool is it allows people to access a reality that they can't access. Now, that is perfectly fine for many like able-bodied people. Okay, cool. I'm going to go play in, I don't know, Fallout VR or whatever, and you can do all of that. But imagine if like you actually could not leave your bed. This is a big deal. And I think that there's a lot that could probably even be done when it comes to physical therapy in this type of like technology of like giving people the capabilities of seeing and working and moving through a landscape who might be restricted to a bed. Great. I'm all for that type of experimentation and technology, especially when it's done for the right reason. And will people use it because they're lazy and they just want to like play VR chat while they're laying in their bed? They're already doing that. They already have makeshifted their own systems to do that. Like there's a whole subculture that does that. So yeah, this one I can get behind. I can see the value in that one. That makes sense.
It made me think about all the pain management use cases for VR and people in hospitals. And I think you're right that it does have some use cases in there.
Well, that is a great way to end out our show. Lily, thank you for joining us. Thank you for everyone who has been listening. Next week, Cathy will be back and we will continue on with Tech Magic. In the meantime, check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us reviews, hit us up on LinkedIn, send us emails. We love talking with you. If you've got ideas or stories, we're always open to those as well. We love hearing from everyone. Until next week, this has been Tech Magic. My name's Lee Keebler. I'm with Lily Snyder. Cathy will be back, and we will talk to you then.
Are your ad campaigns lighting up the dashboard, but not the pipeline? That's bullspend, and marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
My boss asked for results, so I opened my dashboard for the only positive-sounding metric I had: impressions.
Cut the bullspend. See revenue, not just reach. LinkedIn delivers the highest return on ad spend of major ad networks. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Business is booming, but you know what really helped? Xero, the accounting platform for small businesses. I used to think spreadsheets were just part of it. Ugh. But real-time cash flow? Wow. Invoices that chase themselves? Even better. Books that automate? That's a big one. And I can keep track from my phone while I get the job done. No spreadsheet in sight. What a life. Do right by yourself and your business and search XERO for your free trial. Conditions apply. Business is booming, but you know what really helped? Xero, the accounting platform for small businesses. I used to think unpaid bills were just part of it. Ugh. But batch payments? Wow. Automated accounts payable? Even better. All in one place. That's a big one. And I can keep track from my phone while I get the job done. No bills in sight. What a life. Do right by yourself and your business and search XERO for your free trial. Conditions apply.